All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Ways of Agile podcast. We want to take a more holistic approach this time around and look at the job market as a whole instead of any one specific role. So for that, we reached out to Kara. Kara, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Kara Dennison. If you look me up online, you'll see a couple letters after my name. So Kara Dennison, SPHR, CPRW, EC. So what that means is I am a certified professional in human resources. I'm also a certified resume writer. I'm the CEO and owner of Optimized Career Solutions. I own that with my husband, Jack. I'm an executive career coach and leadership coach as well. We've helped over 5,000 professionals through a job search over the last 5 years. I've been responsible for over 12 million in salary increases. I also am a consultant at a Fortune 50 organization, helping them with organizational strategy and leadership coaching, and I'm also a Forbes writer. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, thank you. And it's from the Forbes articles that I came across you and the reason why I reached out. Is you wrote about some very interesting subjects, and that's essentially what I would like to get into.
Let's do it.
And effectively, what I would like to start is I want to ask if you think there's something strange happening right now in the job market because there's a lot of inconsistencies, some strange contradictions.
Sure.
Since COVID, we started with work from home, which by looking by the statistics makes employees happier, more productive, less likely to quit their jobs. So it looks like the positives outweigh the negatives, yet companies push to return to office. You have things such as in the US job market, it seems to be more jobs than employees or people looking for jobs, but still you hear so many stories of people struggling to find a position.
Mm.
You have AI, who by all statistics is not quite at the level of humans, but a lot of companies are rushing to get rid of employees to replace them with AI. So it does seem that the data contradicts the decisions that are being made. And can I ask, is it your opinion of is there something bigger happening here, or are these just individual isolated cases?
That's a fantastic question. My specialty is the American job market. That's where
Yeah.
I typically am going to know most. And it has really been fascinating since the pandemic. Since all of us shut down. We all went, like you said, work from home, and we all discovered, wow, we really like it. I mean, I really like it a lot for sure.
Yeah.
There was some downsides to it, definitely, right? There was some isolation. People felt a little disconnection when it comes to community and things like that. But when it comes to working productivity wise, what the overwhelming sentiment from employees was is, hey, I can be super productive in my life when it comes to working from home. I can be getting a project done and go throw a load of laundry in and not have to waste hours of my life getting ready and commuting to work, right? But what was happening on the corporate side is, oh, okay, wow, we just spent a lot of money on getting these office buildings and these fancy offices and investing in a lot of innovative ways to make employees happy, I guess, in terms of employee engagement when it comes to office equipment, office furniture, etc. And now they're losing out on money with that, right? Now there becomes us versus them conversation. So there's the corporations and then the employees, and now there's this mistrust that's happening. So are the employees really being productive at home? Is what the corporations are saying, or the leaders are saying. And employees are saying, yeah, we are. We're super productive. It just might not look like the traditional 9 to 5 of when we were in the office, because when we were in the office, what else are we going to do? We can't do our laundry. We can't make lunch. We can't, feed the baby or whatever. And so when return to offices start happening, it was the pandemic is kind of coming towards an end. There's mitigation things happening. And now we want you back in office because then we can see you and I can feel as a leader that you're being more productive because I can put my eyes on you. What happened after that was, okay, now employees are coming back to office because they feel if they don't come back to office that they might lose their jobs. And so they have to, right? But then there's this other mistrust or distrust that's happening because they're going back to office, but sometimes the leaders don't have to follow that policy. So they're going to the office, the leaders aren't there. They're supposed to be there for collaboration and communication and all this other innovation, but it's not actually happening. And so now other studies are coming out, right, that commuting is costing money, right? Commuting costs anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a month, but you're not getting paid for it, right? You're not getting perks to come back into the office for the most part. And you're not getting raises. And raises are slowly becoming less and less profitable as the cost of goods are going up. Inflation's going up over here in America, right? And so now what I'm sensing as I'm writing about articles in Forbes, but I'm also on places like TikTok and hearing in my comments of, studies are showing, hey, companies are putting out all these perks to come back into office, et cetera. And then in my comments, I'm hearing, I'm not getting any perks. I'm just getting told you get to keep your job if you come back into the office. And so what I'm hearing right now is the cultures that corporate America is fostering is just a lack of transparency. You're getting told to come back into the office. You're not getting told why. You're not getting asked. You're not getting told, or being brought into it at all. And it's feeling really frustrating. It's feeling like it's an us versus them situation, and that's perpetuating an even, in my opinion, worse scenario. And I'll kind of stop right there, but that's kind of what's happening and where we are right now.
No, that is fair enough. That kind of goes is very well aligned with what you do read online about frustrations and about especially with a double standard with the it doesn't managers are not under the same rule set as employees. But do you think that this push is going to succeed? Is the work culture going to revert back to everybody going back to the office, or is this I guess a desperate attempt to go turn things back to the way they used to be?
That's a great question. Well, let's look at the reasons why the RTO is happening. So there's a lot of reasons behind the RTO, and some of them are not so great. A lot of studies are showing, and even HR professionals are even saying that some RTO mandates are being pushed as this is not great news, but are being pushed as a secret way of forcing layoffs without having to do layoffs, right? And that's awful to say. I hate that, right? But it is what it is, right? And so as companies are also pinching pennies and they have these big office buildings to pay for and all of these other expenses, they need to cut their employee workforce. And they have already seen how that's played out in the media for the companies who've done layoffs and maybe not have done them very well. And so now, how can we do this? How can we lay off people in our workforce, save some costs without looking like the bad guy? Well, let's do RTO mandates like every other company is doing, and let's let our employees choose whether or not they want to stay. And so we're seeing is that, okay, some employees choose not to stay, but actually what's happening is employees in this market are saying, well, I got to keep my job because it's such a tight market right now. So they are staying. And now the companies are like, well, crap, like they're staying and I'm still having to do layoffs. And so it's kind of a weird dystopian world that we're living in, where it's like these companies are doing these weird mandates and weird things, not being transparent with their employees with where they are and what really needs to happen, and hoping that the employees get so dissatisfied that they leave, which in my opinion creates this culture again of mistrust. disloyalty, like productive, like they don't want to be as productive as they want to. They're so dissatisfied, but they also have to stay. So they're resentful, right? Because you have
Yeah.
bills to pay. So there has to be a better way, right? What do I foresee? What do I predict? I can't tell the future. I wish I
Yeah.
could. But if I did, I feel like this is all going to come to a head. Those office building leases are going to eventually end, right? And I feel that there is going to become this evening out, right? Like we went all work from home in COVID, and then there is going to be this huge push to RTO. We have like nearly 90% of companies are going to be pushed to RTO, which is wild. I mean, we even are seeing it now with companies that were originally work from home before COVID, like Amazon and like Starbucks.
Yeah.
It's wild. And now they're all pushing to RTO. And then I think it's going to kind of even out, and we're going to see where we were before the pandemic, right? Those companies that were able to work from home or see the benefits of flexibility and hybrid as we move more to that gig economy and those flexibilities, I think it's going to kind of work even out a little bit more as the power goes back to the employees, because I think eventually it will switch back over.
S- So do you believe there's like a cycle to be maybe anticipated or studied here? Because I know at some point, right after the pandemic hit and then everyone started working from home, there were
Mm.
so many discussions on benefits and on 4-day work week, which was slowly being implemented. And it seemed like it was such an employee market because everyone wanted you. Like we used to get a lot of LinkedIn messages every week. Like we had a few, and then at some point everything kind of stopped. Layoffs started happening, and now it's super hard. Like you're competing against at least 100 people just for a role in a company in your field. So it does seem like right now we're in a cycle where it's an employer market. But is this happening in cycles, I wonder?
It does. It does. It happens in cycles all the time. And if you look at history, it goes back and forth and back and forth and up and down all the time. And so you're right. It was, I mean, 2020 to 2021 was just like nuts for employees. It was great. And now it's really tough. And I do think that it will revert back, right? And it's one of those riding the waves type thing. Um, when it comes to right now, it's not one of those things that, again, I can't tell the future, and I don't want to just like, hey, hang in there and wait. But I do think it is one of those things that, yes, these things happen in cycles, and it's because um, I find that, like what Vlad was saying at the very beginning, corporations tend to overcompensate or overcorrect in certain areas, like for instance with the AI thing. That tend to happen back in with the pandemic when we were all shutting down. There was massive layoffs, right? And so then the government was giving some buyouts out, and so then it was like a reverse. So
Hmm.
they had to go and rehire, and so it was like these overcorrections, and it's like we're playing this seesaw type game. And I think that it will overcorrect again with the AI, because you're right, they're laying off a lot for this AI. But I always say AI is not going to take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI will take your job. And so as people are upskilling with I think the certain jobs are going to go away, but more jobs will open up when it comes to those who know how to use AI, as we see our just world evolve again.
And are these cycles, though, are they getting more extreme? It seems the overcorrection is more and more. It I've I can't believe it, like looking back, it seems almost unbelievable how easy it was in 2020 to 2021 to get a job.
Yeah.
With almost, if you can turn on a PC, you can get a job in IT. And now it seems like the opposite. Are these, I guess, yeah, are these cycles getting worse?
I think they are getting a little bit more extreme, especially um, when it comes to where we are. Like if you think about where we are in America right now, everything feels really extreme. Like it's the day that we're recording this is actually election day in America, and you can't talk to anyone without feeling like extreme emotions here in America. And I think that that's sort of the culture that we're living in, is that everything feels extreme. Like when inflation goes up, it goes up extremely. When prices go up, when, the election, and when it comes to these overcorrections, I think that our companies, our corporations are acting in an extreme way, and they tend to do these massive layoffs. And you saw this in 2021. They did these layoffs and then they rehired, right? And then they're doing it again. And so when it comes to, I mean, again, if I had a magic wand and I were in charge of everything, it would be like, how can we make calculated risks? How can we make calculated adjustments? And that's something that I always advise to people is, let's zoom out, right? Zoom out and see the big picture and see where the ebbs and flows are going to be, instead of reacting for the now, because then you're going to have to overcorrect again, right? And I agree that you're right. It does feel so extreme. And what's interesting is when you talk to anyone in corporate America, whether they're in a job or unemployed, everyone has a story about how they feel almost traumatized from a toxic environment in corporate America. And there's this undercurrent of I almost don't want to say this, but it's like uprising in corporate America from the employee side, because of the fact that they feel so misled from everything that's happening from the government to corporate America.
Okay, and is this sustainable to some extent? As in, especially if the cycles continue to get more extreme, it's almost like, how much can this system take?
Yeah. I don't think in my opinion, I don't think it's sustainable as it is. I think that there are huge things that need to change, right? And I think that's why the work of people like myself and people who go into organizations that say, hey, here's what your leaders are doing, and here's how your employees are reacting, and here's the disconnect between the two, and here's how to bridge that disconnect, right? So that something that I truly believe is that employees are your best resource in your organization. They're the ones that not only innovate your products, right, and create the products and services that your customers are going to be using, but they're the ones that are on the front lines speaking to your customers. Not only that, but they're the evangelicals that are going to be, talking about your company to everyone that they meet. And so if you're not taking care of those employees, and you're not making sure that they're taken care of, like wellness and in their job and engaged and innovative and productive, then the reputation with the way social media is, it can go up in a flame so very quickly. And we've seen that with like loud quitting and all of the stuff that's happening on social media. And so I think if I could again predict the future over the next 10 to 15 years, I hope to see that corporations and corporate America start to listen to experts like myself and others, not even myself, others that are even better than myself. And they start bridging that gap so that they listen to their employees and they take care of their employees instead of treating them as disposable. And with that comes remote, right? And work from home, and treating them with the health and wellness that they need so that they can then in turn take care of your company, right? And part of that is so that you hire the top talent, you need remote, right? You need to be able to work globally. You need to be able to ensure that they're taken care of so that in turn they take care of your company and your reputation.
So on this, I actually want to sidestep on this hiring process, because right now there's a big buzzword happening, like going around on ghost postings. And I was wondering if you wanted to, maybe in your words, share with us what the ghost postings are and how they became such a big phenomena lately.
Yeah. Ghost postings ghost postings are so damaging, and yet so prevalent. I can't remember the exact statistic, but I want to say like 40%. It's in my Forbes article. You can find me on Forbes, but I think it's like 40% of HR people say that they've posted ghost postings. And what they are is they're fake job postings. They're literally job postings that say, we're hiring for whatever it is, right? Like a mechanical engineer or whatever it is. I just did a resume on a mechanical engineer. That's fine. But that job doesn't exist. And the reason why it's so damaging is because you, as a job seeker, you see that and you apply to it and you're like, oh my God, I'm like, what a perfect job. I'm a good fit. Like, then you get your hopes up. And the reason why it's damaging on both fronts is, let's talk about internally as the company, right? One, you're wasting recruiting resources, right? Like, just to slam in resumes over and over and over again that your recruiter then has to look at or file away somewhere. That's the first thing. It's also damaging for your internal employees because, and hiring managers have literally stated in surveys that this is a reason why they do ghost postings, is because their internal teams are so overworked by doing multiple people's jobs that they'll post a fake posting to tell their internal teams, hey, we're going to get this taken care of. Don't worry, we have a posting out. Once we find the right person, we'll hire someone and it'll be less work for you internally. Knowing they're never going to hire someone. Like, diabolical, right? So there's that. Or they're just trying to collect resumes to have this internal pool. There was another reason was you would get tax breaks. Like, you would get money from the government if you were showing that you're like continually hiring as a company, even if you weren't having the like intention to actual place the hire. So super diabolical on the company side. On the job seeker side, what's really frustrating is that you're applying, you're getting these auto rejections. And I see this all the time as a career coach helping job seekers, is that you're a perfect match, you're applying, you get an auto rejection, and now you're kind of questioning yourself and your mindset and in your career. And that blows up into a big thing, right? Do I need to take a step back? Am I even qualified to be in my career? Like, why am I getting rejected? Maybe I should just stay in this toxic job that I'm in. Like, it gets really, really tough. And then the third damaging thing, if you zoom all the way out, is it really affects the numbers for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because now it's showing that there's more jobs than there actually are out there. And so that's why, to go back to the very beginning of our conversation, Vlad, when you said, I'm confused, like, why does it show that we have so many extra jobs? But everyone I talk to is like, why is this job market so tough? And it's because, like, 40 or something percent of the roles that are out there are actually not real roles.
That's a bit daunting. Is there, I don't know if there's almost like an underlying not message here, but a sign of something unhealthy, because these seems to be tricks to simulate growth rather than actual ways of growing a company.
Yep.
So I don't know, it might be an impossible question to answer, but why would companies, I guess, do or stoop this low, I guess?
Yeah. Like I said, for like on that company side, it's for a couple of different reasons. One, sometimes they would get money from the government. Hey, yeah, we're hiring, all that other stuff. Another, it's because, hey, I want to just make sure that we have postings out there in case the perfect candidate comes along, then we'll consider it, like that type of thing. And then it's to show internally to the employees that are complaining about being overworked, like, hey, we're doing something about it, even though they don't actually have anything intentional to do about it. So there are a lot of reasons why companies do it, but there's no actual like movement forward on it. It's frustrating. And I've seen like videos of recruiters who are asked to do this that have quit their jobs because they no longer feel morally aligned with their companies. It's frustrating.
I'm wondering, for the job seekers, is there a place where you can, I don't know, are these companies flagged anywhere? Are there any sort of reports being drafted at any place where the regular job seeker can go and say, oh, that's the company I actually applied for. And at least you get that back, you get that win back, thinking, oh, I got rejected because this wasn't real. So at least you get a piece of hope back that you're not really bad, you're just
Yeah.
in the wrong place at the wrong time. Is there
That's a
something like that?
That's a great question. I don't know. There should be. If there
There should
is,
be.
I hope someone comments on your podcast if they're able to, so that we can share that resource or open up a Reddit or something. But I do have a couple of tips on how to spot a fake job posting that I can share, and then I'm happy to also go over like some of the tips that I share to my clients on how to navigate a job search more strategically instead of relying on the job boards where you could get trapped with job postings. But I'll go over some tips on some job postings.
That would be great.
Yeah, okay. Um, the first like obvious clue of a fake job posting is if the job description is super vague. So if it's a real job posting, genuine job postings usually include specific details about the responsibilities, expectations, qualifications. So if it's vague, you can kind of tell like they didn't put a lot of thought on this, move on. If the job posting is persistent, right? Like if it's posted over and over again, right? Like, so if you have seen it once and then the next month you see it posted again and then you see it posted again, okay, like they have no intention of filling it. Especially if it's an earlier or entry level role or a role that you know, especially in tech, right? There's some roles that just get filled a lot, right? Like lower level developer roles. If they're seeing that posted a lot, like that's a fake posting. Whoops. The next one is going to be, I lost my place here. Little to no response during the hiring process, right? So if you're applying or if you're reaching out to people and you're getting no response whatsoever, don't waste your time anymore. Especially when you typically aren't hearing a response from job posting anyways. But if it's really been crickets, or if you're applying to multiple jobs from that company and it's crickets, then it might be a fake one. If it seems too good to be true, right? Like if it's like a very basic job posting and then the salary recommendation or the salary expectation is huge, you're like, wait a minute, what? It's probably too good to be true. Anything that's too good to be true probably is. And then if there's inconsistent company information, right? Like if they have discrepancy in their contact information or their company history, or they don't have any online presence or anything like that, it's probably a fake posting as well. Those are some tips for that.
Right, that's
Thank you.
super useful. Thank you. But
Yeah.
I think I just stepped over your question. Sorry.
No, there was, well, just to kind of, I guess, come off it since it's so systematic almost that you can pinpoint this or these fake job postings almost, well, train yourself to recognize them.
Yeah.
It does seem like there is a opportunity here for a system or an AI to go through it to kind of clean this up. I wonder if places like LinkedIn, which is the biggest job platform right now, isn't their reputation affected by these ghost jobs?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't know, but I see your wheels turning, and I know some tech guys, so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
All right. And looking at kind of overall everything, all these contradictions, all these inconsistencies that are happening on the job market, do you think is there an opportunity here for a wave of startups to take the wind out of the sails of the big corporations that are unwilling to change or unwilling to adapt or treat their employees like crap?
Yes, that's a really great question. You know what I have been seeing as I work with job seekers a lot is the rise of interest in smaller companies and startups, especially because they're more agile and they have the ability to offer better or different benefits, right? They might not be able to offer like, um, whatever. So they offer different ones, right? Bigger companies offer different ones than smaller companies, but they can offer the remote, right? They can offer the unlimited PTO. They can offer that flexible work time because they're a startup and they get to be more agile like that. And what's really interesting is that a lot of startup companies, they are usually starting up because of the fact that they've had a bad experience in corporate America. They have a dream and they want to do things differently. And so they usually build their culture from the start as the way that they want to grow and scale their culture. And they're usually, not all, but a lot of them want to treat their employees um, as great resources, as people who are going to be many parts of that organization that are going to help and scale. And so what I really love about anyone who's listening to this podcast is, if you're feeling burned out and you're looking for a new organization to drive, and you have that personality that thrives in a startup, right? Because not everyone does. If you're just someone that likes to be a cog in the wheel, maybe this isn't for you. But if you're innovative, you've got that entrepreneurial mindset, you're curious, and you really want that remote flexibility, a startup might be for you. And I love the fact that there's so many more startups creeping up that really want to be employee first.